Actually, I'm saving for someone else, I'm sorry.
Mayor, Council, let me first mention that you have a number of last-minute items that I think the city clerk has distributed to you. About a year ago, we as staff started to explore the possibility of looking at ways to improve recreational services and as well as saving money related to our sports park operations. We solicited proposals from three parties, a church that first looked into the idea and then decided not to submit a final proposal. Got into a lot of discussions looking at a proposal from the Boys and Girls Club, and also obviously we've been talking to the YMCA. Based on the assessment of those two remaining proposals, we've been pursuing in a lot more depth points with the YMCA. Just for further background related to this, just as a point of history, the general plan that council adopted, not this council, councils a long time ago, some of the key points were, when it comes to parks and recreation, was to first fully utilize the natural advantages of Imperial Beach's location and climate to develop a variety of park and recreational opportunities. In that vein, it's interesting that it said that the city should recognize the contribution of the private sector to parks and recreation and encourage cooperative continuation and expansion of such contributions. Similarly, the plan also said cooperative programs with city residents, business people, neighboring cities, county, state, and federal agencies should be established to expand the city's recreational programs. So those are some of the general guidance things that the general plan talked about. Greg, if you could put on, I just want to try to quickly summarize some of the major deal points that we've talked about. With
Mr. Brown, I don't really want to interrupt, but I think really what we have here, and I have a lot of speaker slips, and I understand there's a lot of people that want to speak to this item, but we really, from what I'm looking at, we have here is an opportunity to look at management by a professional organization of our sports park and the facilities surrounding it. And it's kind of like, it's not a privatization of anything. It's purely one of those things that seem to be happening from here throughout the state and throughout the country, which they call public-private partnerships. Right now we're looking at, I believe it's the YMCA, because it's under government, I'm not sure if it's codes or processes. We went out and properly solicited inputs from organizations that would like to get into the management of these facilities. And we have before us a staff recommendation to take a look at negotiating directly with the Y based on points that this council, with community input, both at workshops and other council meetings, that come forward and said these are the things they would want to be included if we're dealing with a management change here at Sports Park. So, I mean, I think that what we really should do is listen to the folks that have the comments here. I mean, we have several of them. I mean, normally we have to be careful about making the meeting go on and on, but I'm sure that most of these folks have either been to a council meeting before or participated in other workshops. And if they would be mindful of what's been said before them, I'm willing to go ahead and give everybody the 3 minutes that we normally do when items don't have as many speaker slips. And so anybody that feels like they can just echo a person before them or that is following them, I appreciate that. I would like to start with those folks, there's 3 folks here that have given speaker slips that are in opposition to what staff is recommending, but don't feel the need to talk to us. And they are Mr. Mike Hastings, Elise Slater, and a Chris, I apologize for not being able to read the name quite right. I think it's Radins, but they do not support the staff's recommendation. Those were 3. And then I'll start with public.
Mr. Mayor?
Please.
I'm sorry, and I really don't want to.
No, that's fine.
Interrupt you or, don't want to interrupt you or the process here, but it seems to me that Mr. Brown had started to talk about deal points and stuff. And I think what's really important for the public is whether anything has changed, whether there's anything new since the workshop that's been reconsidered. And I think the public has a right to know about that, or should know, before everyone comes up and speaks as though they don't, on the basis of not knowing what the current proposed arrangements are, or what's been thought of and adjusted since the input from the workshop.
Okay, I agree. I see your point, and I think you're probably right. I shouldn't have stepped in on Mr. Brown first, is that, because I know that in the staff report, that's what they were trying to do, is consider those inputs from both the workshop and the council meeting prior to that. So I guess, Mr. Brown, I'll turn it back over to you so that we can clarify what might have changed since the workshop and what the deal points are looking at now.
I think just, let me try to think, in terms of change since the workshop, one of the things that hits me is that at the workshop there had been explored and suggested there would have been charges for the use of the fields to the Little League and girls softball. The current deal points has no charges to those 2 groups other than continuation of the charge that they currently pay, which is the utility, the electrical cost at their concession, their portion of the concession stand. So there had been talk about a charge for electricity and water. That's not going to be, and similarly, there's not going to be a charge for the use of the fields. So I guess similar to what was at the workshop, the priority would still be tops for the 2 leagues, and to schedule the fields, they would simply need to submit a schedule to the YMCA, and they would get use of the fields. Field maintenance, I guess that's another variation. At the time of the workshop, we had suggested simply that the YMCA would maintain the fields. In these deal points, the Y is willing to maintain the fields. If either of the leagues wishes to maintain the fields, that's fine. So the choice of who maintains the fields would be each of the leagues. Let's see. I think the idea of scholarships for Y membership is the same. And I guess I should make it clear. To get a scholarship right now, the Y would look at every person in the household, look at the income earned by everybody in the household. And if that family qualifies for the no cost or reduced cost school lunch program, they would qualify for Y scholarship. I guess I also should emphasize on the privatization and so on. Sometimes privatization involves selling of public assets. This does not involve the sale of any public asset. It's simply a contract for specialized services, or it would be a contract for services to manage and maintain the current facilities, and the ownership would still stay in the hands of the city. On the skate park, I think there were charges proposed. In this proposal, what's proposed is that for Imperial Beach residents under 18, during specific days and times, somebody who's an IB resident under 18 could use the skate park for free. For somebody 18 or older, there would be a charge at a lower rate to a resident, and then if somebody was 18 or older, not a resident, there'd be a higher charge. To either group, somebody could become a member of the Y, and their Y membership would include use of the skate park at any time it's available to any member. I think those are the main differences from the last time. Maybe some others would come to mind.
So, just on the main points, because we can get lost in the details.
Okay.
Since the last time, with regard to the leagues, who were in the original proposal going to pay a fee that was going to be controversial, that involved roughly $25 per person if you broke it down to the players. I think that's what it was.
Correct.
25.
Correct.
That's gone.
Correct.
All right.
Right.
And with regard, that's the main point when it comes to those
Charges.
issues, the charge issues. And then with regard to the skate park, there's no charge for IB kids up to 18 years of age.
Correct.
18 or over,
There would be a charge.
there would be a charge differential for IB residents compared to non-residents. But residents or non-residents, 18 or over, if they join the Y, they get it free.
Yes.
And everything else in the Y that comes with
Right.
it.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Mr. Brown before I move forward with the public speaker slips? All right.
What, Mr. Mayor, if I could, please, Mr. Brown, if you would go over the maintenance issue again, that if the Y would maintain the leagues, but if,
On field maintenance, there had been an expression, I think, about at least one of the leagues wanting to maintain the field themselves. And I'm not sure if that's the infield and/or the out, well, it's the infield certainly. I'm not sure about the outfield. But the choice of who maintains the ball field would be up to the league. That if a league wanted to maintain the field, fine. If the league said, I don't want to maintain the field, let the Y maintain the field, the Y, that would be fine also.
The Y will do it with no charge, so it's
Well-
the same cost. I mean, there's no charge for the maintenance of the fields to the leagues, one way or the other.
No charge to the leagues, correct. I don't want to mislead anybody. The proposal entails, though, that the city would pay the YMCA for electricity and water, and we estimated those costs would be about $50,000 a year.
And the membership for the Y, how much is that?
Excuse me, sir, you can't ask from the audience like that. We do have public speakers with.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I just want to go over again the skate park use, thank you. The skate park use, so for children under the age of 18, they're an Imperial Beach resident, it would be free. However, they still would have to wear helmets and knee pads.
Correct. Yeah, I should have added that under the YMCA deal, the Y would supervise it, and they would be making sure people had skates and helmets.
Have they
Skates,
given,
pads and helmets.
have they given us any indication on what they mean by supervised?
They would be checking people in and out, and they certainly would not knowingly allow somebody to skate in there without helmet and pads. And I just want to emphasize it's free, but it would be at hours and days set. So it wouldn't be free all the time to anybody who is an IB resident. Yeah, there would be set times of the days when it would be available free. Okay? Just, I don't want to minimize that.
Mr. Brown, one of the other concerns I'd heard was the advisory council concerning the facilities and the uses of. How are we addressing that?
The Y said they would form a group to work with the Y, a local group, that they would be working with the Y.
And we could specify that they include certain members or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Brown at the moment? I'll start off with public speakers. Ms. Young, Emily Young. I'll come back. Faye Fernandez. Is the speaker on outside? Can you hear us out there?
Did you call Emily?
I called
No,
Emily
speaker.
first and also
She's
Faye
supposed to be-
Fernandez. I don't see either one.
They're in the overflow room.
Is the speakers working back there?
Yes, they are, Mayor.
They are?
Yes, sir.
So my first
They're not
thing,
speaking either, they're just part of their speakers.
so neither, Faye, did you wish to
Yeah,
speak?
I'm here, but I wasn't speaking. I was
Okay,
opposed.
you haven't opposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Emily Young, not speaking and opposed?
Not speaking.
And opposed, thank you. And once again, I apologize. I probably should start wearing glasses. Peter Ramirez or Peter Ramsier?
Remsetter?
Ramsetter?
Rangier.
Ramsier. Not here, he has an opposed slip. Candy Unger.
Candace Unger, 682 Ocean Lane. I am speaking on behalf of the I'm the collaborative representative for the Boys and Girls Club skate park, IB4 skate park group, and the soon-to-be nonprofit organization that's going to help for funding down at the Sports Park Center. I just wanted to start by saying that these are some of the points that everybody was questioning. And that was, when we got together as a group after the workshop meeting, they were no increased fees for Little League and Girls Softball, the uncertainties about YMCA and what they were offering, high fees for membership, new fees for skate park, duplication of programs already offered in the community, lack of new programs, no mention of adult or senior programs, and the YMCA bringing in programs that will compete with local businesses, and the loss of a public park. One option proposed was the formation of a foundation or committee that would provide fundraising ideas and present grant opportunities to help offset the financial shortfalls the city is now facing due to the abolishment of the RDA. We explored this idea intently and found that almost every city like ours facing the same financial problems was now being served by either a Parks and Recreation Foundation or commission, not being sold off to the YMCA. Our research showed that the implementation of such organization could fetch our Parks and Recreation hundreds upon thousands of dollars through local, state, and federal grants. Another positive outcome for this idea was the ability to provide the city help and guidance with other projects currently they are engaged in, such as joint use partnerships they're seeking with the South Bay Union School District, helping to secure a much-needed park in Oneonta, and the creation of a dog park. The committees would provide the city with much needed feedback from the community, provide work or research otherwise done by staff, in turn freeing up staff time to work on higher priority projects without compromising the wants and needs of the citizens. For example, the committee could be asked to take on the task of distributing a Parks and Recs community assessment survey to provide feedback to the city and the new management of Sports Park to make sure the new programs implemented will be desired in the community. Programming. The Boys and Girls Club would like to provide the community with the addition of new programs, while also achieving the goal to provide a variety of adult and senior recreational opportunities. The adult programs are used to generate revenue to assist in funding the youth. Adding senior and adult programming is high on the list of priorities. We feel that a community assessment survey would help the Boys and Girls Club find exactly what programs are desired in each demographic, rather than duplicating senior center programs or establishing programs that won't be used. Pricing. The YMCA's proposed fees for membership.
Ma'am, I have so many speaker slips, 3 minutes.
Can somebody finish this?
Next speaker slip is Pamela Oliver. Pamela, do I see you here? Vincent Farnsworth?
Just in opposition, I'm not speaking.
Thank you very much. One more in opposition, Pamela.
So my name is Vincent Farnsworth and I live here in IB. And Candace Unger gave you a lot of details. And there are a lot of details to this thing, but I think some things are getting lost in the details, which is basically just about everybody's against the YMCA. It doesn't matter if we discuss the definition of privatization. You know, we're very afraid of losing our access to a public park. The idea of charging anybody, a skater, have to show your ID so he can skate to a public park that he pays taxes to, his family pays taxes to, it's intolerable totally. Recently, because of this issue, I've been looking into the YMCA. They've gone bankrupt in 3 Southern California cities recently. It's kind of a fiasco. There's a lot of evidence that it will cost this IB more, it will cost you more if another fiasco happens than if you don't do this. I would just urge you to abandon this plan of approaching the YMCA because they've lost faith, they've lost credit with the public, I think, when they say they're going to give scholarships to low-income families, like low-income military families here, you know, that they're going to have to go fill out a form to skate or play, or maybe to get access to the ball fields or anything like that. So I'm going to let others speak on the details. I just think really it's time to start this over. Reject this thing, reject it tonight, vote no. I really urge you to vote no on this tonight, and we'll start this over. Thank you.
Gunnar Weaver or Wyber? Gunnar Weaver or Wyber? I apologize.
That's Gunnar Weaver.
Thank you.
I will be echoing Lady Taylor. Alright, so she was talking about programming, and then after is pricing. And the pricing is, the YMCA's proposed fees for membership are $95 for youth and $150 for teens. Being that high membership fees was counting concern for the community, the collaboration favored the membership fees of the BGC, which were significantly lower than the YMCA. BGC fees are as follows. Individual membership is $40 a year. Family membership is $60 a year. Military dependents have free membership. And then typically fees for recreation type classes are $35 for club members and $45 for non-club members, and vary slightly based on the length of the classes. One issue very important to many members of our community group was the desire to allow youth and teens to use a facility without having to buy a membership. It was stressed that in this economy, children need somewhere they can escape from the pressures at home when times are tough, and having somewhere they are welcomed off the streets will always remain a priority. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Michelle Medina?
Michelle Medina, 1311 California Street. Folks, I am so confused, I don't even know where to stop. I would need 3 hours, not 3 minutes. But let me just look at this. The kids would have to pay sometimes, but not other times. Did I get that right? I'm wrong with this thing with the YMCA. And I also point out that just to speak of this not being privatization reminds me of the book by George Orwell. It's not what it is, it's the same thing, but just another name. So I'm going to stop right now because this is so bad that you've got to ship it back. Thank you very much.
Don Spicer?
Don Spicer, 1417 9th Street, IB. I'm the president of Imperial Beach League. Mr. Mayor, City Council members. Imperial Beach League has been part of our community for over 56 years. Our members are dedicated volunteers who have, without pay, given their time to our youth and have given countless hours to the city. Imperial Beach League supports the proposal prepared by the Sports Park Committee and feel that these proposals are best not only for our adults, our youth, but for our community. You, the City Council, have a very important decision to make in regards to Sports Park. Imperial Beach Little League asks that you review and consider the proposals prepared by the Sports Park Committee. We can only ask you do what is right and what the community is asking of you. I remember at a past council meeting, Councilman Spriggs had stated we need to work more with our volunteers. We all have stepped up to the plate. The ball is in your hands. We can only ask that you do and make the right decision. Thank you.
Greg Hughes?
Good evening, guys. I brought this shirt. First, I'm Greg Hughes. I've been a resident for 20 years. Born and raised in Chula, but I call IB home. I am an IBite. This shirt was from the first one. I don't know if you guys remember it. Some of you guys were here. Some of you raised money. Some of you scraped the floor. Okay, we were told that if we raised the money, you would give us a space. This was in 1999. The day we went to build the ramps that we all donated the money and donated our time to do, you all told us they all have to be removable and move into a little 8-foot door. You have to build them lightweight so that we couldn't build them strong and we couldn't build anything permanent. We were like, wait a minute, you promised us a skate park. Then you told us, no, it's multiple use. Well, we never heard that until the day we started the ramps. So I'm going to stay as calm as possible, but I'm passionate about skateboarding. I love it. Kids who skateboard, that's all they need is a skateboard. They don't need a team, 9 players, a coach, none of that. They need a place to do it and a stage we all can watch them do it. This is what we created. The second time you told us, give us the money, we'll give you the space. We did it. It took us almost 10 years to do it. And now you're taking it away from them? It's outrageous. I don't understand. How can this not be a breach of contract? You made a verbal agreement with us that this is what you would do. And you're not doing it. I don't understand why you're not being sued. I'm not a favor of lawyers and lawsuits, but you should be sued. You should be shamed in the streets. I want to walk up to you and I want to tell you things that would make my mother cringe. My heart's racing right now because I'm passionate about skateboarding, passionate about these kids needing a place to do it without an adult around. The baseball is another issue. It's obviously, these people have been doing it for years and they're willing to do it without most of your help. And you guys are opposing this because of money. And you spend it left and right on projects none of us really care about. I don't want to speak ill of an Eagle Scout, but the money that's spent on that thing for us to cross the sidewalk is great. But this is way more important. Don't steal a park again. I do live here, and I will see you on the streets, and I'll keep as civil as possible. But you're going to hear it from me again.
Cheryl? Quinones? Quinones. Oh.
I see.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, council, staff. We do want to appreciate your work, because it's a tough job and most of the time it's thankless. But tonight we're here for a good cause, a cause that affects our city yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We're here to not only bring to your attention that our dismay in the attempt to go through with this YMCA deal, but we're more upset that you didn't open it up for open bidding. And we're more upset that we didn't learn about it until it was closed doors. We're really upset that you didn't take us, the citizens of Imperial Beach, into consideration that we care about that park. We do the labor. We do the cleanup. We do the grass. We make it beautiful. The skate park makes it beautiful. I understand there's a contract for $80,000 with the Donlin prison that's supposed to come out. We've never seen an orange jumpsuit out there. Okay? It's the mom and the dads and the kids picking up trash at the end of the games, getting ready for the next day. It is the moms and the dads and the kids that meet every other day to play the game, and the fields are clean. So nobody's doing labor, okay? We're doing our own labor, okay? And it's been like that since I've been here since 1964, when it was nothing but a sand pit. And 4 generations now, we have a park that is beautiful. Public access. My grandkids can go there anytime, day or night. Of course, I have to be with them at nighttime, but day or night, and play there. And know that that's theirs, and it'll be there. And to put it under a YMCA cloud of a YMCA is not acceptable. And I brought this just as a reminder. My grandson played Little League, and this is his little trophy in 1998. Of course, I've got trophies that go back to 1964, okay, because I'm 4th generation. But I brought his, and he's 20 now, okay? And it says Imperial Beach Little League. We are proud of that label. We don't want it to change. This is our history. So I thank you for the time, and please vote no.
Amanda Lacone?
Hi, Mayor, City Council. All right, I was part of the Imperial Beach Softball League since I was 12. I learned a lot of different skills on the field, too many to list in the amount of time given. But I want to say it's made a huge impact on me, to the point where next year I'm going to become a coach. I would hate to see other girls miss this opportunity because the YMCA wants to charge or to change the rules. Imperial Beach Girls Softball League is a family. Every girl knows every coach and vice versa. To see this to be taken away and to turn it into a profit is just sad. The softball league is for the girls in IB, not money for the city. With what the YMCA proposes, does that mean I can't walk on the field and throw a ball with my dad or my little sister without having a membership? Or skate at a skate park that was made to be able to skate for free? What I don't understand is why would we pay maintenance fees if the park isn't ours? Everyone here opposes the idea, so I think we should just put a stop to this and just vote no. Thank you.
I'm the president of the Imperial Beach Girls Softball, and we do not agree that with the staff recommendations to go with the YMCA. We're putting our support behind the Sports Park Collaborative, and we just ask that you don't make a hasty decision on this, and you consider the Boys and Girls Club proposal and give it an honest look, because it's our future. It's the kids' future of the community. Keep the sports park public. Thank you.
Sir, Jadina, 652 Donix Avenue, Imperial Beach. Both my boys played Little League, and my entire family was involved in raising the money for the skate park. You can't have a public-private partnership if the public isn't engaged in a collaborative way on this process and any other process in the city of Imperial Beach. So I don't support the staff recommendation. I think there's a good faith effort on the part of the community collaborative to come up with an alternative. I do think the city needs to go back to the drawing board and develop a Parks and Recreation Commission with a sports park subcommittee. We need to build citizen involvement, and then the city needs to deal with the community respectfully in a public-public partnership, and to see if we can't work this out first before we go to a public-private partnership. I've been very concerned about the lack of any formal process. I never saw a white paper. I never saw comparative budgets here. The meeting, the public workshop was arguably the worst public workshop I've ever been to. It was absolutely mismanaged. I thought the city staff absolutely disrespected the community. And I work in Mexico and the United States. I think this issue highlights the need for civic and political reform in Imperial Beach. We have the lowest level of any citizen advisory boards in the entire San Diego County. The only citizen advisory boards we have are the ones mandated by the state of California, the Design Review Board and the Redevelopment Oversight Committee. We need to have a Parks and Rec Commission with a sports park subcommittee so that people can feel like their opinions are listened to and they have a chance to work this out. That's the nature of our democracy. Right now in Imperial Beach, I question whether or not we have a functioning democracy. We need a civic government with transparency, accountability, open government, and a process that people understand. And this issue, we just haven't seen it. So I think we need to go back, work with the community collaborative, and start again so that the community feels respected. Because in America, when you attack baseball and you go after the institution that is a foundation, really one of our foundations of our country, you know you got a problem. And this city, unfortunately, seems to go after the institutions that make Imperial Beach the place that I grew up in, the place I committed my life, living my life to, and the place I'm going to die in. So let's do a better job and work with the community to make this have a better option. Thank you.
Wyatt Wallish.
I'm going to be echoing Gunner, who's echoing Candy. So the Imperial Beach Little League and IB Girls Softball. So the YMCA proposed several changes to IB Little League and IB Girls Softball. They were not favored by these organizations or the community under the collaboration agreement. IB Little League and IB Girls Softball would continue to run and maintain their programs as they do now. They would also continue to maintain the facilities and the fields. These organizations have offered to pay the true cost for the use of the lights associated with the fields and have also offered to pay for any maintenance issues. The facilities accrue up to an agreed specified amount. Sorry about that. IB Little League and IB Girls Softball have committed to hold an annual fundraiser where all revenues generated will be placed into a special fund designated specifically, sorry about that, I'm nervous, for the maintenance or future upgrades to the fields and facilities. This is a cost the city will normally accrue. Alright, so this is for the skate park. The collaboration agrees that in the best interest of the community, the skate park should remain a free public skate park as it was designed and built for. Members of IB4A skate park are committed to improving the environment at the skate park by increasing the positive adult presence as well as employing a number of different programming strategies. IB4A skate park members have also committed to the collaboration and annual fundraising contest and/or event with all proceeds going into a special account specifically designated to cover any routine maintenance or upgrades needed at the skate park. This is a cost the city would normally accrue. So, suggested facility upgrades and modifications. We believe the city should remain responsible for the major upgrades needed at the sports park, including but not limited to the re-roofing of the recreation center and the resurfacing of the gymnasium floor. These are already included as initial capital outlays in the budget for fiscal year 2012 to 2013, according to the March 20th staff report. There are many grant funding sources that cover items listed as a capital improvement projects that we can explore. Sometimes it is easier to get grants when you apply for them as a community group rather than the city. I would be doing the collaboration an injustice if I didn't ask the city to provide the same perks as they have to the YMCA. Partnership and opportunities. The Boys and Girls Clubs, Imperial Beach Little League, Imperial Beach Girls Softball, skate park advocates, and the resident stakeholders would see the collaboration as a partnership with the city of Imperial Beach. A benefit of this collaboration is the relationships each have already established as individuals within the community. For example, the Boys and Girls has a standing partnership with the South Bay Union School District. I'll just
Thank you
finish
very much.
my sentence.
Good evening, council and Mayor Pro Tem, staff. I'd like to give my time to Candy so she can finish what she was saying, if that's possible.
Candace Unger, 682 Ocean Lane. I only have a little paragraph left. The benefits of this collaboration is the relationships each have already established with individuals within the community. For example, the Boys and Girls Club has a standing partnership with the South Bay Union School District and an ongoing partnership with the military, providing free membership to all military dependents. And most importantly, we trust, believe in, and support each other. These are not just organizations, they are organizations made of our community, our friends, and our family. Basically what this is the same exact deal. You are going to get the same exact benefits, the same exact management at a cheaper cost. It's not going to cost you $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 that it's projected to cost you right now. We really hope that you would take the time and send us into negotiations to sit down with Greg Wade, the city manager, and just talk about this. Hear us out. Hear what we have to say. We're here to offer solutions, not to, point our fingers at you. We really just want to be heard, and that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Sergio Delos. Sergio?
Dallas Reyes.
Delos Reyes, yes.
He's in overflow.
He's in overflow? Oh, wait, Jim King?
Good evening, members of council, mayor, and the audience. Last time I was here, I was the only voice that said, the YMCA might be a good idea. And I was actually personally attacked by somebody in this audience, and I think that is no way that civil discourse should happen and decisions should be made in the city. I think we should treat each other with more respect. On that note, I'm just kind of chastising whoever made that comment last time. On that note, I think that Candace Unger came forward with a very interesting idea, and I think a very viable idea. And I think that also Serge Dedina has some very good ideas. I don't think you should vote yes or no on this tonight. I think you should table it. I think you should look at this further, and I think you should engage the community more. I think that, unfortunately, I know there's been a lot of work that's gone into this, but you have a tough decision on your plate. And it is going to affect a lot of people in this community and a lot of children in this community. Those things resonate for years to come, not days, not months, not weeks. I think it's an important decision where we go with the recreation for children and adults and people in this community, how we serve the needs of people in this community. And I think that it's a very good point that's made about, let's see if we can create a more transparent types of process here. Some people were caught blindsided. It is a known fact, I've said on this board. I know that people don't pay attention a lot of times until the wolf is on the porch. And so then everybody turns out because it's in their interest. The rest of the community of 28,000 people, where are they? Probably they don't know about it, or maybe they don't have kids in Little League or skaters. I know tons of skaters. My son's a skater. All his friends are. And I just think that we need to give this a better look, a look that involves the community without the community being mad and saying, no, we won't do that. I think the community needs to be collaborative. They need to open their minds and their hearts and understand that this is a challenging issue. We need money to operate a program. We need to find new sources. A foundation, I think, is a brilliant idea, and I think we should explore this further. Thank you very much.
Did Sergio get a chance to come in here from the back room? Okay. Elizabeth McKay?
I don't wish to say anything, I just suppose.
Thank you. Erica Lowry, and you do have time donated by one.
And if I can go slower. I will still try to make this brief, but I need to educate the citizens of the ABC suits that cities and government agencies use. RFP, our request for proposal, is a formal request that a city puts out to agencies for service agreements so that it's open to all interested parties and there is no favoritism, unless you're the city of Imperial Beach. An RFP is something that our city doesn't seem to utilize. Instead, we use the telephone. We call our friends and ask them to submit a proposal so that our city workers don't really have to do their job or give our council real options. Council, I don't know if this is a one-time event, but even if it is, you should be aware. I'm asking for transparency. A forthright RFP issued for the management of our city's lone sports park. After reviewing other cities' proposals, I have found fiscally dangerous deficiencies for the municipality in favor of the Y. I specifically am talking about National City. Personally, I'm not against the Y. I'm against the procedure that the city has utilized that has resulted in the Y and that you are voting on now. No more closed-door sessions with only one option. In comparison, the neighboring cities have had ad hoc public committees, have had open discussions with the Y. All of our discussions have been behind closed doors. Transparency is something our city does not understand. It does not mean behind closed doors. It means open discussions where more than one option is presented in completeness. 883 people agree with me. Yes. They have signed petitions either online or in hard copies. I can hand these out to you. Agreeing that there needs to be more options, more transparencies, more influence. Again, this is not the time to vote for the YMCA. It is time to start over the proper way this time. Thank you.
That concludes our public speaker slips in this item. I'm going to entertain comments from my colleagues here on this thing. Anybody want to start off initially on this item? It's been a very difficult time, difficult subject. What we have, as I stated earlier, and I think Mr. Brown was trying to think, is that whether we move forward with a management agreement for the sports park and negotiate what deal points we believe are important to operate the sports park. The city staff has got some recommendations. I don't necessarily agree with all their recommendations or as far as some of the deal points. I think that it could be better in certain senses, but it really amounts to is that we went out, tried to find people that could manage this facility. We did talk to the Boys and Girls Club originally. Me personally, I would have thought that the Boys and Girls Club might have been the only one that would have put in for it. The YMCA did show up. There was one church activity that thought that they might have an opportunity, but weren't able to come up with a program for it. So what we have before us here is what the staff has recommended. So I'll look at my colleagues. Mr. Spriggs, you want to start, or Mr. Patton? Your button looked pushed, but it might have been left over, so.
I don't mind starting, Mr. Mayor, thanks. I have to start off by saying that, you know, community input on this issue has been consistent throughout, including tonight. I think the city staff has tried to come up with a solution to what is primarily seen by the city government as a budgetary problem that needs to be resolved by a cost-sharing arrangement where an entity can come in that has expertise in park management, recreation programs, and generate revenues by utilizing city assets on a fee basis, while at the same time making more programs available for the city's residents and enabling the leagues to continue to operate. I think it was a good faith effort to try to balance all those interests. I really do. But I don't think it's succeeding. And we just have to recognize, you know, when we're on the right track and when we need to reconsider the approach. This applies to anything. You know, whether it's a redevelopment project in the old days of redevelopment, or whether it's you know, anything that we engage in. You know, when it's not working one way, we have to pull back and reconsider and try to see how we can make it work another way. This is life. And this isn't working, despite the best efforts of the city staff, which I, again, respect all the time that's gone into this. I think that we have to listen to a couple points that have been made repeatedly. One is the desire for more community engagement in solving problems that affect a large cross-section of the community, i.e. the families that are involved in the leagues. I pull out of all this experience over these last few months a lesson that it's almost like a mathematical formula in a way. You know, the more people involved in an issue that have a sustained interest in it, the more you have to involve them in, you know, earlier on in the process to figure out, you know, solve a problem that involves resources that are near and dear to them. I think the only way that we can get this back on track is to look at this proposal. I'm not sure what kind of shape it's in, but I think we have to look at what the community is talking about and work with them to try to get it into some kind of shape that where a feasibility judgment can be made, whether it's worth proceeding with or not, whether it works. And the people involved in it have to be community members as well as city staff. And learning as we go about what is it going to take, what are the financial considerations, what are the oversight considerations, what are the liability considerations, what are the expertise requirements, etc. And, you know, to me, I just don't see any other way other than, you know, working with the coalition that's been formed and trying to figure out whether that proposal can hold water. And I'm not saying it does. I'm not saying it does, but, you know, I don't see any other way other than working with the people and seeing if it can.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. In the world of education, I've been in education for 20 years, and you know, we're always looking for parent involvement and community involvement, and it just makes a huge difference in outcomes. Now that I'm in city government, I'm still in education, but the city government here, to this role, you know, I've been in many meetings, and we have a few regulars and a lot of empty seats. But not lately with Sports Park and the Sand. We've had some full audience, you know, a lot of community here. There's now, and you know, this meeting's been nice and civil, and what I'm seeing is the evolution of organization. When a lot of the people from Sports Park and Little League first came up, not as organized, and as this evolution is progressing, there's a lot of organization here, and it's showing in your proposals. There's now this collaborative of 40 plus people have gotten together numerous times, and actually have come up with a conclusion or some outcomes, which I find hard to believe 40 people can come to any agreement. 72 people who came up with some options, and they actually have ownership in those options. I really believe that this organization, this evolution that we're seeing here is quite possibly just a little, I'm going off my notes here and I shouldn't. I just believe the city should review their proposal, look further into it, fine tune it. Everything needs fine tuned, no matter what it is. Come back, let's look at all the options and go from there. But I really appreciate everybody out in the audience and the time you put into this, because everything I've seen, it doesn't look like you just did this overnight. This looks like a long process. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
First of all, thank each and every one of you for being here, for the countless hours that you have put into this, for the passion. And I think it was Greg who spoke about the passion. That is clearly evident here tonight. I'm going to be very honest. I was prepared to put this to bed tonight. This has been a painful process for us as a community. And unfortunately, and Mr. Brown and I were discussing this, and I said it's deteriorated into an us against them mentality. And that's not how it should be. We're all in this together. This is our community. We all have children, families, kids, grandkids. I'm going to suggest that I want to put a deadline on this. I think that we just cannot keep this wound open. It's become a wound for all of us. I would suggest that over the summer, collaborative we meet with YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, Little League, Boys and Girls Club, in a civil meeting, and I would like to congratulate you all on your civility this evening, unlike our last workshop, where it got a little out of hand. And that by our first meeting in September, a decision has been made that we can all live with. And that will be the right decision, but it'll be one that we as a community arrive at. Thank you.
Guess it's my turn. Came in here thinking that I was going to be one of the only ones to actually talk about postponing this, but I want to give everybody credit out there, especially Candy. You gave me something that I could sell or potentially sell to other council members on. That was something that I told everybody that was opposed to this. If you don't like it, give us an alternative. I've got to be able to sell it to 2 other council members. Got to count to 3. But I think it is. I think we should postpone this this decision tonight. I think it'd be an injustice. We're always talking about wanting more public input and more participation, and we actually have it. We actually have people stepping up and really putting in a lot of hard work for us. And that's why I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and table this for tonight and bring it back at a future council meeting.
I could support the motion. I'm just trying to figure out what our process is here. I too support the ideas of, you get some people involved and everything. It's a little disappointing because there are some points in some of these other proposals that seem to be mirrors of something other proposals. But I think the goal is, how do we best utilize the limited facilities we have and yet provide the most for the most amount of people? I'm just trying to figure out what our process is. I mean, to table it and then come back in September thinking that we're all going to change our minds, it's not going to happen. So we've got to come up with a process, and I don't know what that process will look like at the moment. And I'm trying to figure out, I mean, some folks can get together with 60, 70 people and come up with something perhaps. We had what I consider a viable offer to try to negotiate with an organization that does this for a living, but it appears that there's more people who would like us to come up with a different alternative than that. But I don't know what kind of process we can move forward with here. And Mr. Brown, maybe the thing to do is to come forward as soon as possible with a process of how we would go about figuring out a management option for Sports Park. And what that option is, I don't have any idea. There's some ideas, perhaps from Candace, perhaps from members here, but we got to figure out where we're going with this.
Mr. Mayor, I agree with you 100%. We have to have a process. I think the community wants closure on this. Councilmember Bragg, I think made a good point by setting a timeline. All timelines are arbitrary to some extent, but let's try to see this through to some conclusion. And the only way we're going to get through to a conclusion is if we use as a starting point what this large group, this coalition, has come up with. We've got to start with that as a starting point. The only question is, what are the ground rules going to be, and who's going to work with them? And are they able to speak with one voice in a constructive series of meetings that need to take place over the summer? The ground rules definitely have to be, what are the city's bottom line requirements for physical viability in terms of the operation of the park? And what are our basic needs and values regarding how open these facilities should be to the people of Imperial Beach? And there are probably some basic ground rules around which we can form some kind of a consensus. But without agreed ground rules of those and other types, you don't really have a prayer of coming to a conclusion, because there will be different interests. Some people may want absolutely no change from the status quo. And no change is not necessarily an option. I don't think that this was clear enough when we did our budget process, because a lot of people weren't here who are here now for the budget process. And that process hasn't necessarily been opened up enough to those who have vital interest in the sports park to understand we can't keep going the way we're going financially. Something has to change. So shared management and some sort of revenue generating activity is another principle that we're just going to have to work out.
Mr. Spriggs, I think the process where I'm having, and I did, just so you're all aware, I did have what I thought a very decent meeting with Mr. Spicer and some members of his board. And being able to communicate different things in that kind of a venue was easier than some of these more formal ones to be able to do it. And I'm wondering if we start the process with a member of the city council, one member of the Imperial Beach Little League, one member of the softball and Miss Unger as a small group to find the process of where we're going next. I'm not saying that Miss Unger's ideas are the way to go. I'm not saying that.
I have 3 ideas that were proposed to you.
Well, I understand what you've got proposed, but we have to find the process, because the process is what it's all about, to get everybody to be acceptable to whichever direction. And I guarantee you, no matter what you think, we're not going to be able to please everybody. It's virtually impossible, but if we please the most and try to bring it someplace. So I don't know if that's a viable alternative. I don't know what would be the method. I mean, the concept of a sports recreation committee, Mr. Patton actually started that concept, but was first trying to just evaluate the resources inside the city before we ever got into the next step. And of course, you haven't got there that far yet, but I'm not sure if that's what we should set up first, is a committee, commission, whatever you would like to, advisory group of some sort, to move forward with it, and then once we get past the sports park, to go further on. So I'm just trying to picture it. Maybe tonight's not the night that we're going to come up with the process yet. I mean, Ms. Bragg wanted the first or whatever. Mr. Bilbray?
Can I ask the congressman to come up for a second, please? I've got a couple questions for him.
Look out, Congressman.
I'm the other Brian Bilbray, 1307 9th Street.
You set this whole thing up. How did you had a Parks and Recs commission. How was the city able to utilize them, and was it with council members, or was it just strictly volunteers?
No, you had volunteers that were appointed by, basically nominated by the mayor, voted by the council, 5-member committees, 5 members, a secret number for success, because 2 people can get together, work out a plan, and if that plan can't get 1 out of 3 votes, it's probably not as good as a plan as you hoped it to be. And sadly, what's happened over the last 20 years, one of the few things I can't be blamed for, is that there's been, because of the fiscal crisis, there's been an excuse for eliminating more and more citizen participation. And to be blunt with the council and with the public, a lot of this was because there was commissions that didn't agree with the council, and the council got tired with having to overrule it and didn't want to take the political heat for overruling a commission's appointment. But there should be a way to be able to try to man it without a lot of personal, professional service. I was appointed at 24 years old to the Human Relations Commission, and we did not have staff oversight at that time. The city attorney will have to look at liability and other issues there. But I think the fact of at least have a committee formed to specifically look at this. But I think, if I may say this, a long-term standing committee of 5 is functional. A committee of a group to be a task force to address this right now can be a different prototype. And let me just say this, Mr. Mayor. For Imperial Beach, the 2 sides have contributed a lot. Staff has come way over from where they are. The community working together has come up with a proposal. Both sides have moved towards each other. And in Imperial Beach, that is a rare occurrence. So I would just say, maybe this is a time to try to reverse the mistakes of future councils, and nobody on this council was part of that. Nobody on this council and no staff member was part of that. That was part of an old council a long time ago that decided they didn't want to put up with the heat of having citizens committees. Now you see the kind of heat you get if you don't have citizens committees. I hope I answer your question, Council.
Thank you.
Can I just make one recommendation? That the committee isn't appointed by the mayor or the council. We would like to at least have open discussions, or have the ability to come in. Sometimes when people are appointed, they are your friends, You know, and we just want to make sure that it's completely open process and that we have the opportunity to speak our minds and issues also. Thank you.
I would like, I think the idea that we were tabling this, but I really don't want to table it because we don't want to leave it hanging. I think at our next council,
Refer it back to staff.
our council meeting, I'm looking at schedules in my mind, and the next council meeting is not a good council meeting to do this in. Only because I know that our agenda, because we only have one meeting in July, we've got a lot on our agenda on the 19th. So unless we wanted to establish a special meeting to address this situation, we'd have to put it to the one and only meeting in July. And at that time, perhaps come up with a process and how we establish an advisory committee of some sort or a method to go forward with this. I'm not sure if that's, you know.
From what I'm getting is, with the collaborative that they have here, they have 3 options that they've come up with right now, and which, you know, needs to be narrowed down. And maybe that's your job as you continue to meet, narrow it down, and from what I understand and I'm hearing is that you'd like us to look at that one you narrow down and see if we can't tweak it to make it fit.
Can you narrow it down? Because within our group, those were the 3 viable options. Those were the 3 most important out of several options that were originally presented.
Ma'am, I really can't let you speak that way from the audience. So maybe, I didn't hear that.
So
from
the
audience,
staff,
but,
so the staff has done a great job. You know, they always work hard. If they'd looked at this with that same passion, and just to see where we're at.
Yes, Mayor and Council, if we could come back, and the only problem with the process and also working with people on developing a process, could you all be open for an earlier meeting in July? Because I think the only meeting in July is something like July 17.
Our calendar doesn't go up.
Yeah,
Madam Clerk, could
yeah.
you give us?
I mean, we could poll you all and just.
I know because of the 4th of July is why we went down to one meeting. We have a meeting on the 17th of July, so that means the 10th of July is 1 week prior to that meeting on the 17th. Could we manage to have a special meeting on this?
Yeah.
That is not good. I cannot have a meeting without you here.
Yeah. Is there any time you want to?
I know you'll be back on the 17th, but.
Yeah, anytime after that.
And anytime after that.
Or prior to the board.
Oh, prior to the
I need to look
board.
at a calendar.
We have a June calendar here. How about if we look at, can we do the 26th of June with a one-item topic on an agenda? The 26th of June is prior to the 4th. Mr. Patton, you in town?
Yes.
Mr. Spriggs, could you make that?
I believe so.
Mr. Gilbert? We will table the item of management of sports park then until the 26th of June. Is that?
Okay.
I don't, do we need a motion for that, or?
I think you can just do direction on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll try to meet with, where does Andrew go?
Anyway, we'll try to.
I'll meet with, yeah, okay, yeah.
Can we just add, I think that's a very important point. I was going to suggest that either Mr. Brown or someone on city staff and 1 or 2 of us try to meet with, I don't know, 4 or 5 key people.
Well, then, I think
between
now and then.
Yeah. So we can start making some progress here on what the parameters are, and we don't just go into the next meeting completely cold, you know, starting from where we left off right here. And I think Mr. Wade has been, is almost indispensable to this, even though maybe he's rubbed a few people the wrong way from from the workshop, I think that his technical knowledge is extremely valuable to being able to assess the viability of a proposal. And we need to get everybody in the room who can make this work, or at least give it the best shot. So I would say 3 or 4 members from the collaborative, Mr. Wade, and maybe a couple council members ought to try to find some time to pour through this before that meeting at the end of the month, and see if we can't come even closer. Because, you know, I think Congressman Bilbray was right. There has been movement on the staff. There has been movement in the community. Let's keep it going. Let's not just have a hiatus until the end of the month.
So that would mean, under your suggestion, is we have a minimum of 2 council members. If we go to 3, we're in trouble, so we just stick with 2. The problem is scheduling and people's time. I know several of you definitely have your schedules are a lot more crowded than others. Do any individuals of this council have a desire to be part of that group? And then we will go, and they can go over there, work with the staff, whomever Mr. Brown determines should be part of that from the staff side, and contact the collaborative, the leagues, and those interested parties to at least start that discussion.
I'd like to volunteer, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Bilbray, you would like to be part of that? I'd join him. Mr. Patton. So we have Mr. Bilbray and Mr. Patton. Mr. Brown will coordinate that, and we'll make sure that they include the folks from Ms. Unger's group, or at least key folks, and plus I want to make sure the leagues are represented there.
Just one thing, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Brown, if you try and whatever happens closest to 4, would be best for me.
Oh,
Or
4
7 in the
o'clock.
morning.
I like Mr. Patton. He's 7 in the morning. You're gonna have to get up early.
Well, 7 in the morning, I can still make work by 7:30, so might be all right.
So, Mr. Brown, I guess that's correct.
5:30.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on this particular item? Thank you. Moving forward to item
Went over those key things, and I think it was either this report or the minute, but what really captured my attention, Mr. Elmer, was when you said, gee, maybe
And I'll give you what I spoke, what I said in my speech.
we'll see
Here's mine.
a